straight into it. I was thinking to myself and I said, out of all the videos I've made and all the story times I've told, this has to be the most interesting story I've ever told. I'm like, how did I forget to tell this story out of all the other ones I've told? And then I was telling my kids about it, and my daughter said, that's a really good story time. Like, they're gonna enjoy that one. And I was like, how did I forget to tell this story? So we're gonna get right into the story. I do want to tell y'all, it is gonna be one of the longer story times. Most of my stories are no more than about 20 to 30 minutes. I'm expecting this one to be about 40 minutes or so. I'm not sure, but it is a pretty long story. It's a crazy story, so don't misunderstand me. You're gonna be entertained, but you're gonna be sitting here for a while, which I'm pretty sure y'all don't mind. I'm pretty sure y'all relaxed on your couch, in your bed, or whatever, looking for a good whisper. So I am, like I always say, I will be looking down at my iPad because I usually like to tell my story straight off the top of my head, because I feel like this story, you can get better into the story versus me keep looking down. But it's so many details in this story that took place that I had to go ahead. I'm gonna show it to you. I had to jot everything down so that you can understand the story, because had I not, this story would be all over the place. I tried to think of what happened off the top of my head and I couldn't. So I had to take a time and really retrace everything that happened. So anyways, I've already been rambling for 2 minutes. Let's get straight into the story. So this story takes place back in 2022. Me and my husband were talking. Every year we get together and we talk about a family trip. And usually about February or March, we'll decide like where we want to go. Sometimes we'll take 2 trips. Me and my husband will go on a trip, and then we'll take the kids, or we'll take the kids first, and then later on in the summer we'll go on us a trip. Well, this year we were talking and we were like, let's take the kids to Disneyland, which is in California, because my youngest daughter always wants to go to Disneyland or Disney World. So we was like, okay, this would be the perfect time to take them. So we get to looking up flights and trying to run some numbers on how much it'll be and everything like that. And we noticed that if we went to Disneyland, the flight did not allow you to select your seats. On this trip was going to be me and my husband, our 3 kids, and my husband's boy cousin. He's a teenager. He was going to go also. Well, he went also. So we're like, okay, this will be their first flight, and that wouldn't be a good idea to have them separated from us on the plane. So we was like, let's see about going to Disney World, which is in Orlando, Florida. So we check out the flights and we see that we can select our seats. And I do apologize for any background noise. So we decide we're gonna see how much it would be to go to Orlando versus going to California. Let's see which one would be cheaper. We run the numbers, and Orlando was a little cheaper, just by a little bit, and plus we could select the flight. So it was like, okay, that's perfect, let's do that. We booked the flight for a Wednesday early. We would make it there early Wednesday morning, and we would leave Sunday night coming back home. So I'm just gonna check my notes to make sure I've hit everything. Okay, so we get up Wednesday morning at about, I said we got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3, I think it was 2. And we drove an hour away. I'm sorry, y'all. We drove an hour away to our closest airport where we were leaving. And everything was good. I was a little nervous for the kids, but we ended up getting on our flight. And it was a connected flight. I forgot to say that it was a connected flight. So we ended up going from where we were to North Carolina. And then once we got there, we probably had like a 30-minute to an hour layover. And then from North Carolina, we got to Orlando, Florida. Everything went good. The kids were good. Nothing crazy happened. Everybody was calm. So we get to Orlando, and we had already made plans to rent a car. So we already had reserved it. So we pick up our car, and we go ahead and go to our condo. We had a condo, and we go ahead and go to our condo. They went on ahead and let us check in. We've been to many parts of Florida. I've been to Kingdom was great. I am a big chicken when it comes to getting on rides. Like, I used to love rides, but as I've got older and got anxiety, I can't deal with all that going upside down and all of that. So I was surprised that I got on rides, more rides than expected. If my husband wouldn't kill me, I would put a picture of one of us. I mean, of us on the rides. We had paid for the pictures. We didn't know it took a picture, but we paid for it. But I'm not even gonna do that because he would kill me. But we had a good time. The rides were the lines for the rides were very long. So yeah, it was hot. It was the beginning. I didn't say this, but it was the beginning of June. It was like the first week of June, and it was hot, and the lines were long, but it was fun. I must say, once we got back to our condo, which was about 7, so we were there. I think it opened at like 9, and we stayed up until it got ready to close. But I must say that this whole trip was so tiring because all of that walking throughout the parks and all of that stuff is so tiring. And anyway, so we enjoyed that. We get home we get to the condo on Thursday. After all of that, we get changed and we go to out to eat. And I'm not sure because I actually had to go through Expedia and see what the dates were that we went and all of that. I had to go through pictures to see, because you know iPhones to tell you where you took the picture. I had to go through pictures to find exactly where we went, when we went. So I can't tell you everything we did on every day, but that's a summary. Anyways, so on Thursday we enjoyed ourselves at Magic Kingdom. On Friday we get up, we do it all over again. We get up early, eat our breakfast, and we went to Universal Studios, and we went to another one. I couldn't find any pictures from the other one, so I only know for sure we went to Universal Studios. It was like Universal, and then you walked a little bit and you went to another part. I can't remember exactly, but we had a good time there also. So we did the same thing. I think we ate at that one though. I think we ate, so we didn't I don't think when we got home we needed to eat again, or we may have like a simple snack, I don't know. But we came home and we went and did some more little fun stuff. I keep saying home, but I mean the condo, because it was our home away from home. But anyways, so after we did all that, Saturday comes around and we didn't do a lot. It was more like a chill day before we get ready to go home. So I think, let me see, on Sunday we went to the Wax Museum, and that's my hot water heater, I believe. But anyways, I did not include this in my notes, but we ended up, while we were going to the museum, we got stopped by, what are those people called? They try to sell you a timeshare. We got stopped by a timeshare. So, I'm sorry, I think my kids are in the kitchen. But anyway, so we get stopped by a timeshare. Mind you, it's 4 kids and 2 adults. It's 6 of us. So they're telling us, oh, if you listen to the presentation, we can get y'all tickets for half price and da 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 da. And I'm just like, okay, me and my husband were talking and we're like, okay, we could do that. But we both agreed that we were not going to get the timeshare. We were like, we're not doing the timeshare. We're just going to listen to the presentation and get the half price tickets so that, you know, the kids can have some stuff to enjoy before we go home. So we ended up going to the presentation. They had a little room for the kids to sit in and play games and do whatever. We sit through the presentation. The presentation was like an hour and a half. I didn't even know they lasted long, but it was so long that we almost missed the stuff that we were trying to do. They were about to close in the next hour or so. So we ended up, after the presentation, they take you in a room and they're trying to sell you this stuff. And we had talked about it. We said no, we were not going to do it. But they made it sound so good that we started second guessing ourselves. And I don't like to be put on the spot, and my husband doesn't like to be put on the spot. So he was kind of like, I don't know, do you think we should do it? And I'm like, I don't know, do you think we should do it? And we're kind of going back and forth. And the man's like, I'm going to give you a minute, I'll be back. And I'm like, it sounds good. And he was like, because like I told you, we go on a trip every year. And I'm like, it sounds good. He was like, yeah, it does sound good. And then we're like, okay, because the man moved the price down and everything. We're like, okay, we'll go ahead and do it. So he comes back and we're like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And they gave you a free trip to, I forgot where it was. I think it was like Hawaii or something. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. Okay, we decided to do it. We signed the papers, we paid the money, day, let me get to Sunday because this is added on. I forgot to put this in the notes, but anyway. So Sunday, we get up and we rush. Mind you, they had told us that that day we went and did the timeshare. It was their last day. We didn't care. We hurry up and got dressed, and this was the day we were supposed to go home on Sunday. We hurry up, we got dressed, and we go down there. While they still there, getting more and more people to come in and do the timeshare presentation. So we speak to the woman who sold us the timeshare because it was a man, but once he sold it to us, we had to go speak with the woman. And I'm sorry, y'all. And we're talking to her, and we're like, we wanna cancel. We thought about it, and that wasn't a good idea for us financially. You know, we had to come up with an excuse. So she was like, well, you know, you can't cancel with us. You have to call this number, and you have to do this and that. You have to write a letter, and all of this and that. And we're like, what? She was like, yeah, you can't cancel with us. So we're like bummed, but we end up going and still taking the kids to the aquarium because we still had some time. Our flight wasn't until like 5 or 6 that evening, so we still had some time. So we end up going to the aquarium. We're like, man, as soon as we get home, we gotta write this letter. And I don't know if we were supposed to call and write the letter or just write the letter and send it, but I think we did both. But we're just like, as soon as we get home, because you only had like 10 days or 7 days or something like that. It was quick. And we're like, man, as soon as we get home, we're gonna write this letter. We gotta get this canceled. Like, no, this is like adding another bill to us. We don't need that. So anyways, we end up enjoying the aquarium, and we get to the airport, and we turn in our rental car, and we get ready to go on our flight. So we had a connecting flight. So our first flight was from Orlando to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina home. So we're in Orlando. We get on our flight. Everything goes good. We're headed home. Well, we're headed to North Carolina. So when we get to North Carolina, we're like, let's get a little snack. We're here. We have like an hour or so layover. So me and the kids. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, so me and the girls, my husband and his boy cousin, decided to stay waiting at the spot for the plane. And me and the girls decide, let's go get us some Starbucks. I'm crazy about Starbucks because we don't have one near me. So every time we go somewhere where we can get Starbucks, I'm like, yeah, let's get Starbucks. So I'm like, okay, y'all, let's go get Starbucks. I'm looking on my phone at the airport map thinking like Starbucks isn't that far. So we're looking for Starbucks, and next thing I know, we have to take a train or whatever it is in the airport. We get on that, and we finally get to where I see Starbucks, which it was a long time finding the train or whatever it's called, and then getting to Starbucks. So we get to Starbucks, and I'm feeling fancy. I'm getting ready to go home, and let's get it large size. So the kids get what they're gonna get with their little money, and they get like the small, because you know kids like to be conservative with their money. So they get a small drink and a cake pop. We love the cake pops. Me, I'm like, I'm getting a large drink. I'm taking this on the plane with me. I'm getting 2 cake pops. So my daughter, she didn't get nothing, but my small daughter didn't get but a cake pop. She didn't get anything to drink. My 2 older ones got them a cake pop and a drink. So I get my large drink and I get my 2 cake pops, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's find our spot at the in airport where we're waiting on our flight. So we get to looking. I'm like, okay, here's the train. We get on the train. I hope I'm saying it right. We get on the train or whatever, and we're headed back to our gate. That's what it's called. We're headed back to our gate, and I'm looking. I can't find the gate, so I'm like, dang. Next thing I know, we're back in the TSA line. I said, what the world? Why are we back at the beginning of the airport? Mind you, if you've ever flown and you know anything about the TSA line, you're not finna go through that line with no Starbucks drink. Like, you probably can do water. I've never took anything because I don't want them to throw any of my stuff away. So I don't know exactly what size you can take, but I'm like, I see one of the little officers in the airport, and I was like, I gotta throw this away. And they was like, yeah, you can't take that. I was like, oh my gosh. And to mind you, I hadn't even took a sip out of the drink. This is where the craziness began. Every time I think about this story, I'm like, person. That's pretty much it. So we make it through the line. We rush back to our gate. By the time we make it to the gate, my husband says, our flight's delayed. I was like, oh man, okay. Mind you, it's Sunday. Back then, my off days were Sundays and Tuesdays. So it's Sunday, which means I have to clock in on Monday, and I'm looking for any excuse to call in anyway because I should have took off for the next day anyway. I don't know what I was thinking. So once my husband said our flight's delayed, I text my supervisor. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to call in tomorrow. Our flight's been delayed. My mind, I'm thinking I'm gonna go home. I'm just gonna go home at a later time than expected. So she texts me back. She's like, okay, that's fine. I hope you make it home safely. Okay, cool. I got the next day off, and I'm off on Tuesday because the next day is Monday. Then I'm off on Tuesday. Oh, this is great. So we're sitting there, and we're like, dang, I wonder how long it's gonna be delayed. So about 30 minutes go by, and you know they give you the sign. It's a sign that tells you like your time on the flight. And on our flight, it had said delayed. About 30 minutes later, it pops up, canceled. Yes, canceled. My husband said, it says cancel. Everybody's looking like, what? Like, cancel. Even people that we don't know is looking like, what? Cancel. So they get over the thing and they tell us that the flight is canceled and then we have to go to the customer service line or something like that. So I'm like, what do they mean cancel? Where are we gonna go? What are we gonna do? Because I'm in shock. Like, I've never been through any of this before. So, like, me and my husband have flown, but we've never had to deal with a flight being canceled. So we get the kids, we get our luggage, and we're like, okay, well, let's find the customer service line. Let me turn my iPad back on so I can, okay. So we get the kids and we get our luggage and we're like, okay, let's find the customer service line. So we look and we find the line, and it is, I kid you not, I cannot make this story up. It is about 75 to 100 people standing in that line. We weren't the only flights that got canceled. Obviously, it was a couple of more flights that got canceled. We still to this day don't know why it got canceled. But anyway, it's so many people standing in that line. I could cry. I was like, I don't know where we're finna go. I haven't never dealt with this before, so I don't know exactly what's about to happen. But me and my husband are standing in the line, and we hear people behind us on the phone telling their family, I guess, that the flight got canceled. And they're like, yeah, I'm standing in the line for my hotel and free voucher. I'm assuming they're a normal flyer, and they'd been through this before because they was talking on the phone. And I told my husband, I was like, do you hear that? And he was like, yeah, I guess they're about to give us a hotel and a voucher. So I'm feeling a little bit better because I'm like, okay, well, I've already called out for tomorrow, and they're going to give us somewhere to stay and free food. So, I mean, I guess we'll be okay. So we're in that line what felt like eternity. Someone comes around. I don't know if y'all ever see the people that are pushing people in the carts. Like, they're pushing people in the wheelchairs. I guess they don't work for the airport. I'm assuming they work for a different company, but because they all have like different uniforms on. But they came around to us, and it was like they had a wheelchair, and it was like, if you get in the wheelchair and you act like you're hurt, we can get you at the front of the line. And I look at my husband, and he looks at me, and he's like, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that, because if I fake like I'm hurt to get in front of all these people, one day I might get hurt for real and really be in a wheelchair. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I was like, no, thank you. So they move on to the next person. Most people was turning them down. I be darned, in the next few minutes I see somebody in the wheelchair whisking past us. They said, nah, forget that, we're not waiting this line. Yeah, take me to the front of the line. So that was kind of funny. But anyway, so fast forward, because it was like, I know we was in that line like 2 or 3 hours. No joke. So anyway, we eventually get to the front of the line, and there's a lady in front of us. You know, like, it was at the customer service. I'm gonna paint y'all a picture. At the customer service, it's like a desk with the people on the opposite side, and I say it was like 3 different customer service workers. So we were standing in line, and it was 3 different people at the customer service desk talking to the people. And it was a lady standing over here. She's going off on them folks about how her flight got delayed and all of that. So of course we're going to be paying attention to what she's saying, because she's loud and she's going off because she's pissed. So she's like, yeah, and y'all delayed my flight, and what am I supposed to do? And they were like, yeah, we're giving you a voucher and we got you a hotel. And she was like, and how am I once we got to close to our hometown, when we got off the flight, we were going to get food on our way home. But we didn't get to make it there, so now we're all hungry. So he was like, yeah, here's y'all voucher. Everyone gets a $12 voucher, and this is y'all hotel. And I asked that man, just like she did, I said, how do we get there? And he was like, oh, there'll be a bus outside that'll get you to your hotel. And he's explaining how we get there and everything like that. I'm making sure I'm not missing anything. So we get our stuff and we go ahead and we're looking for where we go to catch this bus. So on the way, we're looking to see if we can use our vouchers. Everything's closed because, remind you, our flight was at 5 or 6. We done stood in the line. I'm sorry, y'all, my back is really itching me. So mind you, we've stood in the line about 2 or 3 hours. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's about 10 or 11. So the airport is really basically closed. Like, nothing's open. We found these little vending machines that had cold sandwiches, but who wants that? Like, we were like, no, we're not going to use our voucher for that. I believe you could use your voucher, but I was like, no, we'll just save the vouchers for tomorrow. Yeah, we'll save the vouchers for tomorrow. I was finna say something, but it hasn't came yet, so let me wait. So we eventually find out where you go to wait on the bus. So we get down there and we see it's just crazy, by coinkydink, we see the woman that was in front of us, and she looks furious, even more furious. And she sees us. She was like, y'all the people that was behind me, aren't you? And we were like, yeah. She was like, what hotel are y'all going to? And then we look at the thing and we're like, such and such hotel. She's like, yeah, that's the same hotel they told me that I was going to. And she said, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know there's no bus that goes to that hotel. So good luck finding a way to that hotel, because they lied. They're liars or whatever. And we was like, what? She was like, yeah, I've already called that hotel and they told me that they don't have a bus that gets us from the airport to them or whatever. So my husband does the same thing she did. He picks up the phone and he calls the number, and they tell us the same thing. No, we don't have a bus to get you here or whatever. So I'm like, what the world? So the woman was like, we talked to her and was like, yeah, they told us the same thing. She was like, yeah, you basically gotta get your own way there. And so we were looking like, what do we do? So we looked to the side. I guess we didn't notice this line when we first got out there, but we looked to the side and it is a line of about 30 people waiting on taxis and Ubers and things like that. So we're like, okay. So we go ahead and get in the line, and we notice like, oh, there's a long line, but we slowly but surely see people just getting out of the line, getting in vehicles, getting out of the line, getting in vehicles. So people start complaining. It was a man directing traffic. People start complaining to him, saying that people were skipping line because they were just getting out of the line, getting directly into taxis. You were supposed to wait until you got to the beginning transfers, the hotel thing, and transportation thing. The man said, no, I don't take that. So we literally had to pay for this ride to the hotel with our own money. Thankfully, and me and my husband still talk about this to this day, thankfully when we were on that trip, we didn't just blow all our money. We spent money, but we made sure that we kept some of our money, because had we spent all our money on that trip, we would have really been messed up. So he's flying like a bat out of hell. He gets us to the hotel by the grace of God, because I was scared for my life. But he gets us to the hotel. We get in the hotel or whatever. We check in. It's a man that works there, and you'll hear me talk about him again. He looked like Abraham Lincoln, so to this day we call him Abraham. But anyways, he was so sweet. He was nice. Shout out to Abraham. If you ever see this story, which I'm sure you won't, but shout out to him. He was the nicest guy ever. So he ends up getting us in our room, which, yes, they had all 6 of us in this double bed hotel. No, it was a 1-bed hotel. No, it was 2. I'm sorry, I had to think about it. It was 2 beds. So he tells us, like, we have a menu if you want to order pizza and have it delivered. Here's a menu to a nearby pizza place. So I'm like, okay, we get that. Everyone gets in the room. We get showered, and mind you, I don't know about everybody else, but when I leave the hotel, my husband, thankfully, he had washed all of our clothes while we were getting packed. In Orlando, he had washed all of our clothes, so everything in our luggage was clean. But we had threw out our soap. You know how you take your little travel soap in your little container? Well, I figured I was going home, so I threw out my soap. So, you know, hotels have the little bitty soap. God knows what kind of soap it is. We had to use that soap, and I was so upset because I'm like, I don't want to break out. But anyway, so we ended up ordering pizza. We ate our pizza. My husband slept on the floor, and his boy cousin slept on the floor. Me and my smallest daughter slept in one bed, and my 2 oldest daughters slept in the other bed. That's all we could do. So, mind you, our flight wasn't until the next day around 5 or 6. I can't remember because I can't find it, but it was about 5 or 6 the next day. So, you know, we're thinking like, okay, well, we'll just crash in the hotel until about 3 or 4, and then we'll head to the airport and get ready to catch our flight. So we ended up going to sleep, and about, you know, we're exhausted by now because it's about 12 or 1 o'clock by the time we go to sleep. So next thing you know, we wake up at about 10:50 to a knock on the door. And I'm telling my husband, like, get up, do you hear that? He was like, yeah, somebody's at the door. So he opens the door, and it's housekeeping, and they're like, time for checkout, time for checkout. And we're looking like, it ain't no time for no checkout. What, checkout from where? We just got here not long ago. We only got here like 5-6 hours ago. And they like, no, time for checkout, time for checkout. So we end up calling the front desk, and the lady on the phone was like, yeah, they only booked y'all for 1 night, and technically y'all got here yesterday, so at 11 is checkout. I was like, what? And then the woman tells my husband, she was like, yeah, the only way y'all can stay is if you talk to the airport and they extend your stay for another night. So, you know me. Like I told y'all before, my husband is the cool, calm, and collective one. I'm the one that gets a little rowdy from time to time. So, I called the airport. At first, I called the airport at first, and I could never get to the right area, so I ended up having to call the airline. I'm not even going to tell y'all the airline, because I'm just not going to even do it, but I end up calling the airline, and I finally get somebody on the line after waiting for a while. Thankfully, the woman at the front desk let us stay in the room until we got somebody on the phone. So I finally get somebody on the phone. It was a lady, and I talked to her, and I explained to her everything that happened, how our flight got delayed, and how we just got into the room about 11 last night, and so I guess we had been there almost about 12 hours, I guess. Yeah, 11 or 12 hours. It was about 11 or 12. But anyway, so I'm telling her, like, you know, our flight is not until she had no remorse, no kind of empathy for what we were going through. So I went off on her, and I gave my husband the phone because I couldn't take it anymore because I was getting nowhere with her. I don't know what my husband said. I ended up going in the bathroom, trying to get myself together, and I think the woman did end up telling us like that we had to go ahead and get out of the room. By that time, she did tell us we had to go ahead and come down to the front and wait to see whether they got resolved or not, because the room was technically no longer ours. So we did have to sit in the lobby. And my husband, I don't know what he said to her. I don't know. I mean, from what I can hear, he was just being understanding and listening to what she said. I don't know what he said, but eventually he ends up talking to the woman at the front desk, and he was like, yeah, she said that she's getting, she's putting in for us to get another room or whatever. So they ended up getting that squared away, and the woman at the front desk was like, yeah, we do have another room for you now. You guys can go ahead and get up and go up there. She gave us the key and everything, and we go up to the front. We go up to the room. So now we're hungry, so we end up Ubering food from McDonald's. We get the food. It's not right. My husband has to Uber again and tell him that it's not right. We get the food again. It's still not right. And to this day, my husband has an Uber Eats credit for that. But like he said, it'll never get used because we don't even do Uber Eats around here. But anyway, so we ended up, by the way, my husband had got that taxi driver's information, like their company number. So whenever we got ready to go back to the airport, my husband had got the number and called for a taxi. So the taxi came, and he took us back to the airport. So when we went back to the airport, by then, because I think like when we had ordered the McDonald's from Uber Eats, it was like probably 12 or 1 by the time we got everything situated. So we ended up getting the taxi and getting to the airport. When we got to the airport, we decided let's go ahead and use our vouchers or whatever. So we used our vouchers. The kids got whatever they got. I don't remember, but I remember me and my husband got some kind of barbecue. So we got our food, and we go ahead and go to our gate, and we're eating our food. We're happy. We're gonna go home. This nightmare is over. We're eating our food and stuff. We're looking, making sure everything's good on the little screen. And I be damned, I cannot make this up. It said, flight canceled again. When I tell you, tears came to my eyes. I called my mom, and she said, what's going on? Are you on your way home? I said, no, it's canceled again. She said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I said, Mom, I cannot believe it either. My husband didn't see me, but I had my eyes full of tears because I'm like, 2 times in a row, this cannot be real. So my mom was like, y'all can't drive home. From where I stayed, North Carolina was like 12 hours, if I'm not mistaken, because I googled it. It was like 11 or 12 hours away from where I stay. Who was gonna drive 12 hours, 11 or 12 hours? Like, so, same routine, just a different day. We have to get our stuff, get in the line, go back to customer service again. Make sure I'm on track. I ain't even been really looking at it. I just got done writing these notes, so everything's kind of fresh on the brain now. So we get in the line. There's another about 75 people. I don't think it was like, it was a lot, but it wasn't as many as the day before, but it was a lot. So we're standing in line, and we're overhearing people talk, and I hear somebody say, walk past us saying, and they talking about they don't have any hotels left because every hotel around is booked. I said, oh my gosh. I said, people were literally like camping in the hotel. You could see them like getting themselves comfortable, like they were gonna stay in the airport. People were literally getting themselves comfortable to stay in the airport overnight. And all I could think to myself is, it's us and 4 kids about to have to sleep in the airport. This is crazy. So we end up making it to the front of the customer service, because I think they end up opening up another spot for us to go. And it was a guy in front of us, and they were telling him like, we don't have any hotel. We can give you a voucher, but we don't have a hotel. And I end up getting on Expedia looking to see, like, in case they tell us there's no hotel, we might have to pay for a hotel. And everything was really booked. Everything I could find was booked. So when we got up there, we information, and they told us they were going to give us another food voucher, and they told us that they already have a hotel in the system for us. You just don't know how much my face lit up. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, it looks like y'all still have a hotel room from earlier today. And me and my husband looked at each other. We was like, okay, yeah, we spoke to the woman and she got us another day or whatever. And he was like, yeah, that room is still y'all, so y'all still have a hotel room. And he was like, here's your meal vouchers. He said, but we don't have anywhere for you on the flight. We can put you on standby for tomorrow. And then I'm like, what is standby? He was like, well, you'll have to come to the airport and you'll just kind of be there in case they do have a space for you. Then, you know, they'll get you on the flight. And I'm like, well, what if they don't? He was like, well, you know, that's why you just gotta stand by just to make sure they, you know, to see if they have space for you or something like that. They said that's what I took. I don't know exactly how it works. So I'm in shambles because I'm like, okay, we got somewhere to go today, but we don't know for sure if we're gonna even go home tomorrow. Cause mind you, now it's Monday. I'm just like, okay, so we do the same thing. We get our vouchers, we get our luggage, and we go down to the spot where you wait for the taxis. And my husband called the taxi, and we were able to get in because we called this taxi. I guess if you called them, you could go ahead and get in your taxi versus if you're just waiting on one. So we get in our taxi, and no, before we did that, my husband called the hotel to make sure that they still had their room available for us. And Abraham answered the phone. That's why I said shout out to Abraham. Abraham answered the phone, and my husband told him what was going on. And Mr. Abraham was like, yeah, I remember y'all. He was like, yeah, once the room is booked for you, it's technically yours until the next day at checkout. So we get our stuff, we call the taxi, and we get to the airport. We get there to the room, and he was like, I can't believe we get to the hotel. He's like, I can't believe they got all 6 of y'all in a room with these 2 small beds. So he upgraded it to a suite. It was like a really big, it's like almost like a little mini apartment. It didn't have a kitchen stove or nothing like that, but it was like big with a let out couch. It was really spacious. So he ended up doing that for us, and we ended up going to that. And we had already ate at the airport, so we just kind of just chilled until we went to sleep. The next day we woke up, and my husband was like, no, we're getting to the airport as early as we can to see if we can get on a flight. So we ended up trying to call the taxi that we've been using, and they were busy. They said that all their drivers was already out picking people up. So we had to resort to Uber. Our first time ever using Uber. Like the Uber that picks you up. So they pick us up, and we get to the airport. So we're like, okay, well, let's try to use these meal vouchers and get us something to eat while we wait. We try to use the meal vouchers. We get in line at Chick-fil-A, and we get all the way up to the front, and we make our order, and we give them the voucher, and they say the vouchers are expired. I'm just like, what do you mean? We just got them last night. And they're like, well, I'm sorry, but the vouchers expire, which I still to this day don't understand how they were expired when we got some the day before and we used them the next day and they were good, but whatever. So they're like, you have to go to the customer service line and get new vouchers. So we have to get out of the Chick-fil-A line embarrassed, leaving our food behind, because I was not gonna pay for food when they owed us free food. So we ended up going to the customer service line. It was long, but we eventually got to the front. It wasn't 100 to 75 to 100 long, but it was a lot of people, and we eventually got to the front. And there was different people. I don't know. It was a different spot, and those were different people from the day before and the day before, or whatever. So it was these girls, the ladies was up there. They was like, they enjoyed their job. They was laughing and talking and everything. So we get to the front, and I do the talking, even though I should have let my husband talk. I got this one solved. So I told the lady, I was like, our flight has been delayed twice. us y'all new plane tickets, and she handed it to us, and he had us on the flight, and then she gave us our new vouchers. So we had to go back to Chick-fil-A and get back in the line, and the line was even longer than it was before when we first got in the Chick-fil-A line. And then I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, I don't think we're gonna have enough time because the flight is literally like an hour, less than an hour now before we need to be getting over there. And he was like, okay, well, let's just find our gate and we'll sit at the gate. Y'all sit at the gate and I'll take a couple other kids to go get the food. So we get to the gate and I'm like, God, please let me get home. I'm nervous because I'm like, I don't think we're gonna get home. Like, this has happened to us twice, and she just got us a flight out of nowhere. I don't believe we're gonna go home. So my husband tried to get food, but the line was so long that he ended up just went on, came back, him and the kids, and they were like, look, we'll just get food when we get to the airport that gets us home, like from North Carolina to our hometown airport. It's not our hometown, but it's an hour away from our home, our closest airport home. He was like, we'll use these vouchers to get food there because the line is long. I don't want to risk missing a flight over no food, like whatever. We'll just deal with that later. So we ended up getting on the flight. I was so nervous. I thought that when I got ready to get on that flight, I was going to say it's not enough room for you or something because I was traumatized. But we ended up getting on the flight. We got home safely. My anxiety was through the roof for some reason on that flight home. I guess because I had been through so much, but we got home. I mean, we got airplane. We got to the airport closest to our home. We got us some food. That airport didn't have that much to choose from, but who cares? We were home. We were driving distance home, and that is about what sums up my family vacation from hell. Like, I have never been through nothing like that. I don't ever plan on getting on a flight that's connected flight again because I feel like those connected flights had something to do with us being delayed. I to this day don't know what happened, why our plane rides were canceled, but yeah, this has been 47 minutes worth of video. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I enjoyed telling this video. I enjoyed telling this story, and yeah, that's what happened on our vacation from hell. And again, y'all, as always, I love y'all. I hope y'all have a good night, a good day, a good week. I hope y'all enjoyed this story time. Run it up with the likes. Tell your story time from hell if you got one. And enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next